Hey, 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 happy Wednesday. Come on in, pull up a chair. The Gaming Gang Dispatch is in the air. Howdy, 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 gang. Welcome once again to the Duct Tape Studios. I'm Jeff McAleer, your host, here at the Gaming Gang Dispatch. Brought to you by, amazingly enough, thegaminggang.com, which I happen to be the founder and editor-in-chief. So welcome aboard. Tonight is Wednesday, August 18th, 2021. This is live stream 687. If this is your first time joining me, let me point out, it's very, very casual. Kick back, relax. We are not performing rocket surgery by any stretch of the imagination. We're hanging out, talking about the latest in tabletop gaming. So tonight, I am going to take a first look and page through the alien role-playing game, Colonial Marines Operations Manual. Say that 5 times fast. From Free League Publishing. This just came out. This is hitting stores. I think there are some stores that don't even have it yet. So we are going to take a first look at that tonight and dive on in. But first, we are going to talk about the latest in tabletop gaming news. So once again, if this is your first time joining me and you're hanging out live, do want to mention first half of the show is tabletop gaming news. Second half is when we take a look at the games. If you are watching after the fact, just take a peek at the show notes. There are timestamps there as well. Of course, do want to mention, if you like this video, by all means, please give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel if you haven't already. And if you do subscribe, ding that bell. It'll not only let you know when the dispatch streams live right here on YouTube, it'll also let you know when I upload other videos, such as my recent review of Starfinder Horizons of the Vast Planetfall. Try to remember it right off the top of my head without actually looking at the screen to see what the title is. Womp, 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 womp. So yes, you can check that out. It is the first chapter in the Horizons of the Vast adventure path for Starfinder. It's, I believe it's a 6-part adventure path. And there are things I like about it, and there are things I'm not too keen on. And in my opinion, I think the adventure breaks one of my tenet rules of role-playing games. You'll have to check out the review to find out what that is. Of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all the latest in gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more. You know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. Of course, this is a live stream, so that also means chat is available. It's not on screen. It's one of the ways I keep some of the more unusual commenters at bay, but I do my best to pay attention to chat. So if you want to say howdy, maybe you got a question, a comment, by all means, chime on in. And I will do my best to respond. So far tonight, Nicholas Stanishek has joined us. He was first out the gate saying hello. Indigo Dragon is here. And Kabuki Kid. Double K is in the house. Good to see you, Kabuki Kid. All right. Anyway, let's jump on into the news because I got a good mixture of news tonight. This fall's going to see the Sentinels of the Multiverse Definitive Edition from Greater Than Games. Here's the dope. Sentinels of the Multiverse is back and better than ever with all new art, notably streamlined mechanics and new stories to experience. This is the award-winning cooperative comic book card game you've been waiting for. Sentinels in the Multiverse is a cooperative game in which each player controls a hero, using their powers, abilities, and wits to work together with their fellow heroes and save the world. Each game involves 3 to 5 heroes fighting against one villain in a perilous environment. The game is fully cooperative, so the villain and environment aren't run by a dedicated player, but rather are controlled by turning over cards from their decks and following the instructions on those cards. Each hero, villain, and environment are represented by a deck of cards. Heroes and villains also have character cards, which provide their hit points and other information specific to that character. Sentinels in the Multiverse Definitive Edition is for 1 to 5 players, ages 8 and up, plays in 30 to 60 minutes. It's going to carry an MSRP of $59.95 when it arrives in November. Aha! I will point out, I reviewed the original release of Sentinels in the Multiverse and was like, yeah. There was one mechanic. If it came up in the middle of one of your adventures when you're battling the baddie, it was basically broken so that you couldn't actually defeat the villain. So, yes. But I got to be honest, that was the only time I reviewed any of the Sentinels in the Multiverse games. And I do remember being at Origins and having one of the folks from Greater Than Games come up to me and tell me that they had changed some of the rules and tweaked some of the cards. And I got to be honest, this is a very, very popular system. This is a very popular game. I would not mind reviewing this because, once again, it was a pretty interesting design, except for some aspects of it being broken. But as far as I understand, not anymore. So Paul Nolan has joined us. Indigo Dragon says they are not a fan of the new art in this version of Sentinels of the Multiverse. Well, I gotta be honest, I think I like this artwork better than the original art I remember seeing. I can't tell you what the art has been like for previous editions, but at least the first one, the first release, it was all right, but it was kind of cheesy comic book art. I personally think this looks more like comic book art. All right, moving right along. The fourth quarter of 2021 is going to see an interesting looking board game from Chicago-based Geektopia Games. Here's what I know about Fearsome Wilderness. Fend off the unnatural, fearsome critters of folklore. Endure grueling days and tormented nights in the forest. Time is short. Can you survive with only 12 weeks till winter? Paul Bunyan, Johnny Appleseed, and friends have 12 weeks to prepare for winter in the epic struggle of human versus nature. In this cooperative dice-rolling campaign game for 1 to 4 players, the heroes work together to battle fearsome critters and the oncoming cold to gather and build everything they'll need to survive. Roll dice to plant and chop trees, gather food and water, and fend off critters and nightmares. Move your figures within the wilderness. Gather and haul wood and stone to build your log cabin and other amenities. Gain and manage both good and bad conditions to your mind and body. Complete your goals and explore the mystery of the fearsome wilderness. Once again, this is a cooperative board game that takes about 45 to 90 minutes per game session. Players working together control 4 folk heroes who are trying to survive the wilderness and accomplish different goals each week. Each player may select any number of folk heroes to control, but typically in a 4-player game, each player controls 1 folk hero. The game also includes the 12 Weeks Till Winter campaign, which spans 12 to 24 sessions. Each session in the campaign represents 1 week. So if it's 24 sessions, wouldn't that be 24 weeks? Unless my math is off. You tell the story of how these folk heroes survived or perished during the first 12 weeks before winter and beyond. It's designed so that the campaign will last at least 12 sessions, there we go, and no more than 24. When you fail your weekly goal, mark it in your journal and replay the scenario. If you fail twice, move on and attempt the next week's goals. But winter is now 1 week closer, and the winter rules add difficulty. Fearsome Wilderness is once again for 1 to 4 players, ages 14 and up, plays in 45 to 90 minutes. It's going to carry an MSRP of $59.99 when it arrives later this year. This is supposedly going to hit probably really late because of the problems with shipping right now. Worldwide, the global problems with shipping. So I have to say, this looks pretty interesting, but I noticed that they're really focusing a lot on the miniatures, which actually don't come with the game, except for these miniatures. These are the folk heroes. And strangely enough, Calamity Jane is a folk hero. What? So you have Paul Bunyan. You've got Babe the Blue Ox, which is like a humanoid character. You've got Johnny Appleseed, which is that legend is based on a real person. And then you have a real person, Calamity Jane. So it's like, didn't realize Calamity Jane is a folk hero. At least she wasn't in Deadwood. She was heroic, but she wasn't a folk hero. But the weird thing is that, at least as far as the Kickstarter was, you could get the 3D print files for all the monsters at a higher pledge level. And these monsters are available, these critters are available individually. So they're available individually, but they're like $10 a mini. I was like, yikes. Ouch. But this could be kind of interesting. And it's a Chicago-based game company, so they're neighbors. I don't know. So I would hope somebody out there checks this out and lets me know what they think of it. Like I said, sounds kind of interesting, but then once again, it sounds kind of bizarre. So Paul Noah says, wait, Paul Bunyan's not a real person? Come on, Paul, you know that. Bane Kerr has joined us in chat. Good to see you, Bane. Points out that they don't envy any smaller game companies trying to have things shipped out currently. I wouldn't envy the big companies either because they're not getting stuff. So, yes, crazy, just crazy. So the funny thing is, if you can get it manufactured, because of course there were all these delays due to COVID in the manufacture of all these games that are out there, they're being made in China. Now the manufacturing companies are starting to kind of catch up. I mean, they're not up to speed, but they're starting to catch up on their orders. Now it's a problem with shipping. There aren't enough ships out there to get all this stuff that's actually getting, backlogged. So Kabuki Kid points out that obviously Shirley, stop calling me Shirley, Babe the Blue Ox is a real, creature. Yeah, of course. Just the Paul Bunyan is fake. All right. Moving right along, there is a fresh bundle of holding that is available, and it features the Doctor Who role-playing game, Doctor Source Books, from my pals over at Cubicle 7 Entertainment. Here's the skinny companion. This all-new 12 Doctors bundle presents tabletop role-playing sourcebook PDFs for the official Doctor Who role-playing game from Cubicle 7 Entertainment. Each of the 12 Doctor sourcebooks in this offer explores the adventures of one incarnation of the Doctor on Earth and beyond. With detailed information on all the allies, enemies, aliens, and gadgets he encounters, as well as examinations of each of his adventures, Each Doctor sourcebook is also a fact-packed resource for fans of the Doctor Who TV show. Published from 2013 to 2019, or 2019, I'm always off. It's like, I never know if I should say 2013 or 2013. I usually like to say 2000, but now 2021 just kind of rolls off the tongue. Womp womp. Anyway, published between 2013 and 2019, all these game supplements are 100% compatible with the brand new Doctor Who, the role-playing game, 2nd edition, aka the 13th Doctor edition, which is just out in PDF. For just $7.95, you get all 3 source books, and this offers Doctor's Sampler with a retail value of $60 as DRM-free PDFs, including the first Doctor source book, the second Doctor source book, and the third Doctor source book. And if you pay more than this offer's threshold price of $27.43, you'll level up and get all 9 more Doctor source books. Obviously enough, the 4th through the 12th. And this offers complete collection, which is worth an additional $180. It's a smoking good deal. $2 of each payment after gateway fees for this offer will be donated to the charity designated by Dominic McDowell of Cubicle 7 Entertainment, and that charity is BBC Children in Need. Sweet. So JPF mentions, kind of piggybacking on us talking about the shipping, that maybe producing games in the USA may be cheaper. I have heard not, but it is getting closer. It is getting closer because I know most of the Chinese companies have raised their rates tremendously. So we shall see. All right, back to this bundle of holding. I love these source books. These source books are awesome. And you don't need to have any interest in the role-playing game to enjoy these, because essentially what they do is they give you a breakdown of every episode. So every storyline for each Doctor. I thought these were just fantastic. And of course, if you do like the Doctor Who role-playing game, or maybe you're using a different mechanical system for your Doctor Who adventuring, just jam-packed with gaming material. Just give you an idea. Each episode, get a breakdown. Okay, this is what goes on. You get all the, well, not every NPC in that, but you'll get a bunch of stat blocks for the various characters who are in that episode. And you'll also get a little section that's essentially saying, hey, if you like this episode, this adventure, this is how you can build on it for more Doctor Who episodes, or more, I should say, Doctor Who adventures, not episodes. Womp, 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 womp. So very cool. Very cool. And of course, once again, Tom Baker is my Doctor. Paul Nolan's like Eccleston. Yes. So I have to say, I kind of get the idea that Peter Capaldi did not have as good a time playing the Doctor than we may have thought. So, because he's been kind of hinting in interviews that, well, for one, he straight out said he would not return to Doctor Who. Because, you know, they always like to float out those episodes that have multiple Doctors in them, those adventures and that. And he said he has absolutely no interest whatsoever in doing that. And that usually, you know, the more Doctors they include, the less interesting the story is. Not necessarily true. But yeah, I kind of get the impression. Although I got to say, Christopher Eccleston has returned to Doctor Who for Big Finish. He did some Big Finish audio. So that's very nice. So did Peter Capaldi, actually. And then they said they won't use him again. I don't know. I have no idea. All I know is I have not been approached to play the 14th Doctor, which makes complete sense to me. All right. Next up, currently up on Kickstarter for Arc Dream Publishing, is Delta Green, The Conspiracy. Here's the deets. This is like nothing anyone has ever understood. This is pure evil, pure destruction. This is the apocalypse. Welcome to America at the end of the millennium. Do you know who's pulling the strings? Obviously enough, back then it was me. I was pulling the strings. I became a nicer person, stopped pulling the strings. But back then it was me. Delta Green knows things from beyond space and time that lurk in the shadows, the slow rot at the core of humanity, the dark stars that whirl madly above. These are the true masters of the world. Delta Green has been fighting them since the 1928 raid on Innsmouth, and the fight still rages on. Delta Green, The Conspiracy, is an RPG sourcebook of horror gaming in the 1990s. It updates the original Delta Green in a fearfully beautiful new edition. Rules are revised to fit the designs of Delta Green, the role-playing game. New color paintings replace black and white illustrations. A black matte cover embossed with strangely familiar designs wraps around 224 pages of text. A front board, bright with weird portent, emerges from the darkness. It invites you to pull the book open to see the colorful and deadly things inside. Actually, that wasn't a very good laugh. Hang on, wait a second. That was better. All right, there is a Kickstarter video that Arc Dream has put together. Do want to mention it's about 4 minutes long, but you will get a far, far better idea of what you are looking at if you back Delta Green, The Conspiracy.
Delta Green, The Conspiracy is an RPG sourcebook of horror gaming in the 1990s. The Conspiracy updates the original Delta Green into a fearfully beautiful new edition. The rules are revised to fit the designs of the award-winning Delta Green role-playing game, and new colorful paintings replace the original black and white illustrations. A black matte embossed cover wraps around 224 pages of It was easier in my day.
And time pulls the trigger.
America at the end of the millennium. Could still squint and see an empire stretching out forever. Before everything became like it is now. If it seems like the world has gotten worse, it has. But we were always doomed. Pigs to slaughter.
Soft, nutritious place for a baby to grow.
No. The problem now is that we are too few. We fought then and now, not so much to hold them at bay, but we built the facade around you, you understand? We shielded the children from it at least. You see, our grandfathers sold the shell-shocked masses this coma of normality. And our mothers taught us about dangers from the sky.
Many people are essentially not being able to feel anything.
My war was held backstage, in the alleys and the sewers. We made it so dirty, you didn't want to look anymore. We wanted them to think they'd seen the core of it, the rock bottom.
The therapy of busy hands.
But I don't know what the kids are doing these days. These cowboys, that program. What's left to sell those people on? Smoke, mirrors. Everyone can see to the end of it now. Our last threadbare curtain about to fall. The fallow, gnawing absence directing the whole sick show finally revealed. They'll miss us most then, when they realize it was too late, all along. My advice, fresh meat, do nothing. Sit, enjoy the last hours.
They are in between.
Think about a time when it seemed like we might still win. But you won't do that, will you? I can still read 'em, kid. It's in the eyes. You're thinking what could be more noble at the end of all things than to die in the only just war. The war against forever. A war that you can never win. No one could talk me out of it either. All right, Agent. What do you want to know?
All right. So enjoy not sleeping tonight, everybody. Good night. See you later. And just as I say that, I see Indigo Dragon points out, if I have bad dreams tonight, I know who to blame. Don't blame me. I'm just the messenger. So last night, I'm trying to remember who it was had asked what I thought of the Delta Green Kickstarter, which in essence is going to take the original 1990s edition of the game, which was originally a supplement for Call of Cthulhu. And I remember I had it. I picked it up. If I try to remember, and I'm sure somebody out there, either in chat or in the comments section, will let me know. I could have swore Delta Green was Pagan Publishing because they did the Unspeakable Oath. They did a lot. Well, not a lot, but they had some Call of Cthulhu adventure books that came out that were really good. They were very, very good adventures. And I could have swore I thought they did Delta Green. I might be wrong. Could be completely wrong. But the way I look at it is I'm not positive if this is actually going to be released as like a standalone core book, because it's only 224 pages. So I'm pretty sure that we are looking at this being a supplement. So this is effectively a 1990 supplement for Delta Green. And I have no problem with that. I have no problem with that at all. Do have to point out, I forgot to swap out my images here. The web address is actually arcdream.com. It is not ArcDream LLC. I'm so used to the LLC because that's in their Twitter tag. So Kabuki Kid says, yes, it was Pagan Publishing. I thought I remembered it. And at the same, well, maybe it wasn't exactly the same time, but around the same time, you also had Cthulhu Now came out, which was from Chaosium. That was. So Indigo Dragon says this new version is a source book for the new Delta Green. Yeah, I assumed that. I assumed that's what it was. All right. So definitely something to keep in mind. I got to point out this project is already over 800% funded, even with that bizarre video. You can reserve a copy of the hardcover, which will also include the PDF, for a $40 pledge, or you can score just the PDF alone for a $20 pledge through September 10th. Expected delivery for the PDF is this November, with the hardcover to follow in April of 2022. Ah, Viper Dave has joined us in chat. Good to see you, Viper Dave. So I also believe, I'm not positive, but I also believe Arc Dream is also experiencing some shipping delays. And I think it might be on the Labyrinth. Oh, no, wait, that wasn't their latest book. It was something landscape. I'm trying to remember. They're always coming out with different stuff, but it's their first campaign for Delta Green. And I think they're having some problems getting it. And I did see a tweet from Shane Ivey pointing out that I think the shipping costs for the same number of books and things like that last year was $2,000 is now $8,000. So there's a crisis going on here. And unfortunately, the gamers are the ones who are going to pay. All right, my final news piece, now available in print and PDF following a successful Kickstarter, is Floria, The Verdant Way from Silver Vine Publishing. And here's what I know. In Floria, The Verdant Way, you play you guessed it, Floria, a wizard of the mystic woods. Empowered by a magical plant that grows symbiotically from your body, you wield nature magic to preserve the balance between the endless woods and the tiny human settlements hiding in the shadows of the trees. Gameplay in Floria takes place on a map representing the ever-changing paths through the woods. Players will move through hazards and different elements, collecting magical herbs and attempting to resolve quests using a simple 4-attribute, I should say, 2d6 roll under resolution system. At the end of the exploration phase, a magical battle begins, and Floria's most unique system has a chance to shine. On each character sheet is a ley vine canvas. This represents the roots of the magical herb growing within your body. Not actually your body, but your player character's body. By forming certain geometric patterns, these roots can give you magical abilities. In game turns, you spend shapes to cast your magic spells. Spells may cost triangles, squares, or 5-point stars. You build shapes over the course of a game session by adding lines based on the herbs you gather in your journey. When you want to cast something in battle, you just fill in the appropriate shape on your ley vine canvas to pay the cost. Damage is also dealt to the canvas. By striking areas of your enemy's canvas where their ley vines intersect or areas that are colored in for spell costs, you can carve away at their life points. This unique system turns every battle into a colorful, artistic climax to your journeys. The game features simple character creation. The options available are easy to understand while still giving you enough customization to make your character one you want to play. Simple scenario creation. Setting up quests and creating a magic forest map is a snap. Plus, the core rulebook provides several sample scenarios to give you ideas on how to make stories and enemies. It's a beautiful and unique system. Ever had a character sheet you wanted to hang on your refrigerator? In Floria, every battle will leave you with an original piece of geometric art. Start a collection of your ley vine canvases to remember all your wonderful journeys. It's an unforgettable setting. The world of Floria will draw you in and fill you with ideas for endless adventures. Lose yourself in the lovely art and lore of the deep, endless forest. The 94-page Floria, The Verdant Way, is available in softcover for $15, or you can grab the PDF for $10 at DriveThruRPG. Gotta say, this looks very unique. This looks very, very different. This is not the, same old, same old. So I thought I would share this with you. And I also get the feeling that this is probably aimed a little bit towards younger gamers. And I'm sure gamers who are probably very much into manga and anime. So I thought I would share this with you. So once again, you can check it out over at DriveThruRPG. So Paul Nolan says, ooh, for a moment there, I thought I was breaking out in leaves. Russell Higgins has joined us. Good to see you, Russell. All right, we got a good chat going tonight. All right, that is it for tonight's news. Do want to mention, I was just talking about how you can pick up Floria the Verdant Way at DriveThruRPG. Of course, the gaming gang, thus the Dispatch, is affiliated with the One Bookshelf site. So if you are going to go visit, say, I don't know, DriveThruRPG maybe, by all means, please stop by thegaminggang.com. First, click on the banner ads that we have, one of the banner ads. And that way, if you do happen to make a purchase, I get a small portion of that sale. And all those nickels, dimes, and quarters really do add up and help keep the Gaming Gang website around. So there is some discussion of the Rocketeer board game. It was not mentioned yesterday. There is some conflicting information floating around out there about it. So I was hoping to get some kind of solid information, because people love to chew me out if I share something wrong, even though the vast majority of the information that I share with you, unless it's something from DriveThruRPG, is either coming directly from a publisher or from a distributor. I don't just like make things up. I don't take news items from other websites. I've never done that because a lot of times they're wrong. So Kabuki Kid says they don't really know anything about the Rocketeer board game outside of it being a 2-player game. So I get to be Timothy Dalton as the Nazi actor. That's a pretty good movie. I went and saw that movie when it premiered. I came out to check it out. It was like on a Friday night. In fact, I want to say my best friend, Elliot Miller, and I went and saw it. I think it was Elliot who went and saw it with me. And I liked it. I liked it. I mean, you know, it's a little slow in parts, but I thought the acting was pretty good. And there were a couple of parts that were a little silly. But all in all, I enjoyed it quite a bit. And I really enjoyed Dave's, wasn't it Stevens? Pretty sure it was Dave Stevens. His graphic novels in that were actually pretty damn good. In fact, if I remember correctly, Cliff Secord's girlfriend in the comic was effectively Betty Page. Not that it was Betty Page, although I think her name was Betty, if I remember correctly. But it was all, yeah, it was basically, you know, cheesecake artwork. But although, unfortunately, I heard Dave Stevens was not a very nice guy. He had passed on. I'm not trying to speak ill of the dead, but yeah, I had heard some things that he was not necessarily, at least maybe years and years ago. I don't know, towards the end of his life. But yeah, there was So Kabuki Kid says, yes, it was Dave Stevens, Betty Page, and they changed his girlfriend's name to Jenny for the movie. And anybody remember who played Jenny in the movie? In fact, I think it was one of her first, it was her first movie, Jennifer Connelly. Yeah. I always thought she was just, for one, she's a really good actor and a very nice looking woman. Always had a soft spot for her, even when she's in movies where she plays like an addict. Oh my gosh, is that a crazy movie? All right. Oh yeah, Kabuki Kid's right. Jennifer Connelly did stuff before that, like Labyrinth. I've never seen Labyrinth. It's like, all right, everybody's tuning out now. And I like David Bowie. Just never saw it. Never saw it. And the funny thing is, I've never seen The Never Ending Story either. It just didn't appeal to me. Didn't jump out at me. All right. Kabuki Kid says that they're pretty sure that Jennifer Connelly also did a horror movie in the 80s. Huh, possibly. Omanal's with us. Good to see you, Omanal. Thanks for popping on in and joining us tonight. All right. So before I jump on into the alien role-playing game Colonial Marines Operations Manual, which I am not going to, repeat that title too many times. Do want to mention that it looks like we will still continue to do two shirts. Flaming Heron says, Jeff, what sort of Jennifer Connelly fan are you? A more modern Jennifer Connelly fan. So Kabuki Kids time of Phoebe Cates. There were a lot of my friends who were like, oh my gosh, Phoebe Cates. Oh, never saw the appeal. I mean, I'm sure she's a very nice person, but I don't. Anyway. So I was going to say, through the month of September, we are probably going to still stick to 2 shows a week. Because for essentially the entire month of September, I am going to have to go downtown Chicago every Tuesday. Because I'm having dental work done. And it's going to essentially be every week, every Tuesday. Yeah. Once a Time in America was Jennifer Connelly's first movie, apparently, says Kabuki Kid. Yes, and I have seen that. That is a criminally underappreciated film, I think. I really do think so. And I believe, I know we're going off on a film tangent, right? I believe it's because of the terrible hack job in editing that film for American audiences originally. They shaved off over an hour of runtime on that movie, if I remember correctly. And didn't make much sense. But then the restored, it did what the Europeans got to see, made its appearance, and it is a very good movie. Really, really good movie. So Kabuki Kid says, yeah, the real version's too long for Americans, maybe. I don't know. We used to have the patience to sit through long movies. Gone with the Wind had an intermission. Lawrence of Arabia had an intermission. I don't mind that. So, anyway, Indigo Dragon says that they'd stay away from Chicago. Not sure why they would stay away from Chicago. Although, funny enough, when I would travel around and people would ask, there you go, Omanel points out, The Godfather and Patton also had intermissions. But strangely enough, the Blu-rays or DVDs of those movies don't have intermissions, except for Gone with the Wind, at least the copies I had owned. Gone with the Wind did, and so did Lawrence of Arabia. And both of those actually had the opening music that you would have walked into the theater hearing. Very, very cool. Anyway, so I was going to say, when I would go to places and they'd ask where I was from, and I said Chicago, people would be like, yeah, that's cool. All right. That's fine. Chicago, bang, bang. Like stripes. Yeah, so Indigo Dragon says, yes, we Americans can sit through long movies. I always have. I also watch films that have subtitles. I watch not a ton lately, but I used to watch foreign movies all the time. All right. Anyway, enough of that. So I know people are tuning in because they want to check out the alien role-playing game Colonial Marines Operations Manual from Free League Publishing. It's written by Andrew E.C. Gaska, Paul Elliott, and Tomas Harenstam, with artwork provided by Martin Grip, Gustav Ekelund, and Christian Graneth. The hardcover clocks in at 352 pages. You can score either the hardcover for $44.95, or you can grab the PDF over at DriveThruRPG for $19.99. So let's swing on over to the other camera, because here we've got the Colonial Marines book. So if you have not checked out yesterday's stream, you may notice the cameras are a little bit different. I swapped them around, made some changes. I've got a different lens on the Panasonic, which is the front-facing camera here. So this is the Sony, which I used to have as the front-facing. So we're going to see how well the Sony works as far as presenting this book. Let's jump on over to the back. I'm not going to read everything off the back of this. Also do want to point out that I will actually be skipping some pages here as well. So Russell Higgins points out Exodus had an intermission. That's a movie I have not seen. That was a, oh, Gandhi. There you go. Kabuki Kid's pointing that out. Ben-Hur. Yeah, that had one. All right. Anyway. So Flaming Heron's asking if I'm having issues with cameras. No, actually I'm not. I just wanted to swap things around for a different look. So I'm considering replacing this one. And I don't know. I have not decided, because this is a Sony A6000, which actually I bought not that long ago, not even a year ago. And I don't know. I mean, it's like the lowest end of the A series from Sony. Anyway, hopefully if you are watching this on a larger screen, you'll be able to make out the print. Armor-piercing rounds sizzle through raw fleshes. Plasma beams sear swollen retinas. Acrid smoke chokes down your throat before you realize what's burning is you. Hubba dubba hubba. Okay, so it should be what's burning you, or what burning is. Chemical attacks melt your armor, simmer your eyeballs, and fuse your helmet to your skull, while bioweapons turn your insides out and pulp you into a quivering mound of black jelly. Welcome to War on the Razor Edge of Space, Marine, where nukes are yesterday's news, pulse rounds are cheap, and a human life is only worth its weight in stock options. Probably means it's even cheaper. It's a living hell, but none of that's as bad as the flashes of gnashing metal teeth that terrorize you every time you try to close your eyes, like some monster just split your head open and crawled inside your dreams. Sometimes you've got to wonder what the hell it's all for, but no one pays you to ask why, only to follow orders. You're just a grunt, no offense. So lock and load your pulse rifle, Marine. You've got a job to do. Protect and serve the citizens of the Outer Rim colonies, no matter what the cost. All right. Jumping on in here. So also going to point out that if this is one of your first visits here, I'll be sticking picture-in-picture up here, so I'll be cutting off a little bit of the page. When I had the Panasonic overhead, I think it was cutting off a little bit more than the Sony is. It's just Sony's got way better. The Sony has way better focus, autofocus. So I can do things like this Oh, hey, let's take a look at that. And then go back to that. With the Panasonic, I can't do that. The autofocus is just terrible. The camera itself is cool. All right, let's jump on in. So, welcome to the Corps. Day in the Marine Corps is like a day on the farm. Every meet's a banquet. Every meal's a banquet. Every paycheck's a fortune. Every formation's a parade. I love the Corps. Game over, man. Game over. All right, talking about what's in the book. So this is a campaign module for the Alien role-playing game. Do have to point out, I do not have the core book for the Alien role-playing game. I do have the starter set, which I did a review of, but I think the core book was out of print. Because, going a little inside baseball here, the PR person who was with Free League when I first kind of got to know them, would send stuff out all the time. And then she left. And then I didn't really see anything from Free League. And then she came back and she was like, Jeff, what can I send you? So, all right. So we're going to see the history of the Marines here. So far, I don't see a ton of artwork. The battle for the Chinese arm. So we have, this is just basically all the history. There we go. There we have some artwork. And the Alien role-playing game has a very distinct art style to it as well. So still a lot of discussion about movies. The War at Home. All right, then we have the organization, the United States Colonial Marine Corps. With their patch there. Got a breakdown of the command. So as I was going to say, the art style for this book is a much more kind of muted. It is not an overly detailed, realistic art style. So we're getting some of the basics here. So we're going to have different types of Marines. We've got event tables, new talents. Of course, we're going to have new gear. So we have new weapons. I'm sure we're going to see the APC. Got heavy weapons, explosives, chemical weapons, body armor, motorized infantry. There we go. So that is a Soviet built? Might be. Very well could be. So we've got different vehicles. So one of the aspects of this as well, and I know I've been kind of showing every page, but I have been zipping through. Don't need anybody pirating this book based on this video. Gonna get it. But all this information has been cleared with the film studio. So it's like, So I thought that was very, very cool. All right, so then we got a gunship. Where's our drop ship? Okay, so once again, I'm going to go off on a little tangent here. So if you remember Aliens, obviously I would take a guess just about everybody has seen Aliens. So the pilot in Aliens with the sunglasses on, that actress, when my brother lived out in LA, he was buddies with her. He was friends with her. The one who's like, yeah, we're going six by six or whatever. And Then the alien kills her, kills the other guy in the cockpit first, and then gets her. Yeah, she was a friend of my brother's. So kind of funny. Kind of funny. All right. So we got some pretty cool looking ships here. All right. So here we have the Marine campaign. So we are going to have a variety of adventures that can be tied together. If I remember correctly, I think there's 6. So Omenal says the drop pilot. Yes. The pilot of the drop ship was a friend of my brother's when he was out there. All right, so just zipping on through. So NPCs in combat. How do you game master role play? Oh, I'm sorry. How do you as game master role play the NPC Marines? Let them take a back seat. They don't have much initiative. They don't seem to come up with any decent ideas, and none are especially brave. It's like, that's nice. Right, so here are the missions. So we have a variety of, this is just basically kind of mission explanations or breakdowns of what the missions would be. But I'm pretty sure that we actually have scenarios in this book. So here we've got some systems. So not only are you getting a bunch of information about the Colonial Marines, you're also getting a bunch more setting info as well. So Kabuki Kid points out that they used to love the old Aliens game from Activision on the Commodore 64. Oh my gosh. Omenal points out that they released Free League Publishing has released the VTT for this book. And I got to say, I think it's on Foundry. I think it's on the Foundry, which is actually, I have not done a review because I haven't had time to really dig into it. But it seems like a very cool virtual tabletop. All right, so we're still looking at different systems here. Black Projects. I don't know. That's a different style of artwork. Pretty cool. Oh my gosh, it's the robot from RoboCop. Uh-huh. What is it, the Ed 9000 or something like that? Artificial Womb Soldier Program. All right, that's bizarre. Project Berserker. Berserker. Project Life Force. What, are we just doing all different movies? So Omenal says it's very cheap on Foundry. It's $11.50 or so. Huh. That's kind of interesting. The Frontier War. An overview. There we go. Here's the campaign. Here are the adventures. So talking about involving the PCs. One of the aspects of the Alien role-playing game, when you're taking a look at some of the cinematic adventures that they've had, as opposed to campaign adventures, it's kind of cool that we get these like motivations for the pre-gens that are pretty interesting. So I don't know if we're going to see that here. I think this is something where they're looking more towards the Ed 209. Thank you. I know it was the Ed something. But I think what we're looking at here is more of a push, probably to have the players create their own Marines. Also, if you missed yesterday's show, I actually have the PDF, well, the PDFs for Twilight 2000, the new Free League Publishing edition of Twilight 2000. I am under embargo, so I cannot do a review. I can't share a review of it with you yet. But now I floated this out there yesterday. I'm going to float it out there because we have quite a few people who were not in chat yesterday, as 245 Trioxin has joined us. So Indigo Dragon mentions that the Frontier War is a full campaign, right? Because these are the missions. But I was going to say, if you would like to see a preview of the Free League Publishing Twilight 2000, either let me know in the comment section or, of course, let me know in chat. The only thing I have to point out is it's a PDF that I've got. So one of the reasons why I don't normally do like reviews of PDFs is because I find them to be kind of boring. Trying to sit there just as like static images, just, roll past. It's not like I'm going to sit there and put together like 150 images to go like rolling on past. All right. So these are the missions here for the campaign. Pretty in depth, I would say. Now, one thing that I have noticed is that the Alien role-playing game tends to be kind of scene-based, at least, especially with the cinematic adventures that I've seen. No pun intended. But they kind of are point to point, as opposed to just kind of, sandboxy, seat of your pants. So this is the third mission here. I don't want to spoil anything, so that's why I'm kind of zipping through these pretty quickly, because it's very, very possible that there are players of the Alien role-playing game that are going to be out there watching right now. They're hoping their game mother, I think that's such a silly term. They're hoping their game master is going to run this, so I don't want to spoil anything. Now, granted, just kind of zipping on through isn't giving anybody an opportunity to really see any spoilers, but once again, not a lot of artwork outside of some of these like technical specs for the various different locations. Another thing, if you are not overly familiar with the Alien role-playing game, it is a theater of the mind role-playing game. That's why you're not seeing a bunch of maps. We are getting some schematics of like the ship and locations, like there was a base and things like that, but we're not seeing encounter maps really. So for an example, here's a mine, there's a surface installation, but these aren't grid maps. So Russell says, so riddle me this, Batman. How is an IP that revolves around the characters you can identify being potentially killed rather often? How's it going to be for a long-term game? I have mentioned that in the past. I have brought that up. So Russell says, I get not all games are long-term. Some are one-shots. Just seems like a lot of rules for potentially a very fast game, much like Battlelords. So that's why I mean, this is a campaign, but I'm going to take a guess that there's probably the recommendation that the players have a few different Marines to choose from, possibly. But the other adventures that have been released for Alien have been cinematic one-shots. And they tend to feature quite a few different characters that the players could choose from. Not every adventure is going to involve the Xenos. So that's something to keep in mind as well. Hey, look, there was some artwork. Must be a jungle planet. There is a lot going on to this I believe we did have 6 missions all together, and then we got the finale, and that is it. You're going out there to destroy them, right? Not to study, not to bring back, but to wipe them out. That's the plan. You have my word on it. Uh-huh. Sure. Sure thing, Paul Reiser. Why, I oughta. All right. So that is the Alien role-playing game Colonial Marines Operations Manual from Free League Publishing. I will have a review in the very near future for this. Once again, this hardcover clocks in at 352 pages, and you can get it for $44.95, or you can grab the PDF over at DriveThruRPG for $19.99. Swing back over to the other camera here. So Russell Higgins says, I am not good at the jump scare in game mastering. That can be tricky. I tend to do more slow burn than something where it's like, although a lot of times what I do is if I am going to do something where it's like, I want to kind of scare the PCs, I should say the players, not the PCs. As Nicholas is calling it a night. Good to see you, Nicholas. We'll see you next time. I'll be back on Monday. Anyway, I was going to say what I'll usually do is try to have some sort of like an audio cue. Like slam down on the table. Like just so there's a bang. And I'll be like, for an example, if gunshots ring out, I'll like slap the table. And of course that usually will have, your players sitting there go, huh? What? So usually if I'm trying to do some sort of a kind of a like a jump scare kind of, jump scare thing for them, I tend to utilize sound. Every once in a while I'd be like, but usually that doesn't usually get them. So Indigo Dragon says it's very difficult for them to visualize a scene without some kind of map or artwork. Interesting. Kabuki Kid had earlier pointed out they prefer theater of the mind role-playing. So one thing we'll wrap up in a couple of moments here. But one of the things, because seeing that I have run role-playing games for decades, and everybody's always enjoyed themselves. So I've never had anybody at least tell me that they did not have a good time during something I ran. And I mainly run Call of Cthulhu. But I find that if you don't have a game master who can set the scene, and I'm not talking about reading paragraph after paragraph after paragraph of read aloud. That is awful. That is, if I ran across somebody doing that, I'd be like, I'm out of here. Because it's like, I guarantee you we are going to sit here with hour-long battles. If there's somebody like that. So if somebody can kind of set the scene, kind of give you a feeling of what that player character's senses pick up. I'm not telling you, oh, well, you feel like this. You never tell your players what their characters are doing. Never. Unless it's like, okay, they're falling into a pit. But you never sit there and be like, oh, well, as you walk across the doorway and step down on it, never. Just like you never talk about what their player character is feeling. Sense of fear overwhelms you, unless it's a spell. Things like that, no, you don't. But if you can set the scene as a game master with an economy of vocabulary. You have to have a good vocabulary, but with, you're not going to just go all flowery on and on and on. I think you can set theater of the mind really well. I'm really good at the NPCs too. I think, I'm not trying to brag, but I think that's one of the things I bring to the game as well is I can make the NPCs different enough and give them a little personality to make them memorable. Like Meepo, what? I'm Meepo. All right. So Flaming Heron says, haha, hour-long battles. My first group in recent times for 5e had like 10 people. So it took 5 minutes almost for a single turn. Well, the funny thing is 5e, as far as combat encounters in 5e are actually designed that they should really not run more than 3 or 4 rounds. I don't know if a lot of people know that. But yes, that is essentially how these like monsters and creatures and things like that are designed. Your combat encounters shouldn't really run more than 3 or 4 rounds. And part of it is because you should have like the creatures and monsters and stuff like that. Some of them should be fleeing. They should not always be fighting to the death and just running out like stab, stab. So, all right. Anyway. So Omanal says, I think Conan worked well for having vague distances rather than the square counting. Yeah, I don't, unless I'm doing a virtual tabletop, I'll sometimes use the grid, but no, usually it's just. So Kabuki Kid says that they thought 5e had fast combat. I find it be rather quick. So, I don't know. All right. Anyway, that is it for this time out. If you like this video, by all means, please give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel if you haven't already. And if you do subscribe, ding that bell. It'll not only let you know when the dispatch streams live right here on YouTube, it'll also let you know when I upload other videos, such as my recent review of Starfinder, Horizons of the Vast, Planetfall from Paizo Inc. Of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all the latest in gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more. You know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. I will be back on Monday. On Monday's show, we are actually going to double dip. Seemed like folks in chat last night were pretty interested. So what I'm going to do is we're going to take a first look at Power Behind the Throne. It is the 3rd chapter in the Enemy Within Director's Cut for Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay from Cubicle 7 Entertainment. We're going to take a peek at this as well as the companion. So we're going to do that in one video. So we will probably rock through the news very quickly and then jump right on in. Then I will have reviews of those pretty quickly because I've already read them. I read the PDFs. So that is on Monday's show. So if you're interested, by all means, please check it out. If you were watching live tonight, thank you very much. I always appreciate those of you taking part in chat, keeping me company. So I'm not sitting here like a doofus, just talking into a camera to nobody. But I also realize that there are a lot of people out there, they don't have an opportunity to watch this live. So I really appreciate each and every one of you stop by to watch the videos, regardless of when it is. Really does mean a lot to me. Of course, I will be back on Monday. So until then, here's hoping each and every one of you get to enjoy plenty of great gaming with your very own gang. Oh, you're still here. Well, while you're kicking it, how about subscribing to the Gaming Gang channel? Or seeing the latest episode of the Gaming Gang Dispatch? Or finding out what YouTube recommends you check out here at my channel? And of course, don't forget, get your geek on at thegaminggang.com.